Hello, the name is TV News Reporter. Check it out, I'm doing this test that tells you what type of video game console you are. I'm almost finished, I just gotta ask this last question. Do you watch porn? Probably not. Oh boy, I can't wait for my answer. I hope I'm something cool like a... You could have said I was a Sega Saturn, you bitch! So, you make a video game console, you're excited for the success. You're excited for the failure. Well, chances are you probably made it to this video. Okay, look, I spent a good amount of time looking at some of the most obscure and stupidest video game consoles, just so you can pleasure yourself. And let me tell you, these past few weeks, my interactions at the dinner table were something. Hello, son. What did you do today? I spent 5 days doing research on the FM Towns Marty. You're tearing this family apart! So now your console's flopped, you get to be a part of this video. But it does make you tend to wonder, what does make a console rather obscure? Well, I'll be going through any console that has stopped making games that didn't sell financially well. Yeah, because you expect this fucking thing to sell well, apparently. There are some rules to what I will and won't check out. No consoles that have brung promise with them in the era they came out, as that doesn't really make them obscure now, does it? And secondly, no consoles that YouTubers have already talked about, because I do want to separate myself from the timeline. No add-ons, because if the console itself was successful but the add-on wasn't, because that doesn't make the console obscure. Secondly, no bootleg consoles, seriously. If I had to talk about bootleg consoles, I'd be here for over 3,000 years. What the fuck is a poly station? I will also try my best to not talk about popular existing companies as well. You know, like the obscure companies that have died in the 90s and did that. So basically, the consoles you won't be expecting are 3DO, CDI, Neo Geo, Atari Jaguar, 32X, and Sega CD, and TurboGrafx 16. It's kind of hard to start this off, but each console I talk about will steadily get older and older as we discuss. I also should mention I'm not an Elon Musker in 2 more ways than one. If you know, you know. I'm not that rich, and I don't have all these consoles in possession that I can't buy them because I'm not spending $979 for an Apple Pippin. Okay, look, I just wanted to talk about Google Stadia, but I caught myself into a whole nother fucking rabbit hole. I'm gonna put cloud gaming in general on here because it's practically mixed in with normal consoles, and all of these other consoles got blasted to obscurity zone. Basically, cloud gaming is where you have a service where you can play all kinds of games. Well, all kinds of games are included into the system, and you can play it on your PC, your TV, and your phone. Basically, what most companies saw when they did cloud gaming was Netflix. Yeah, we just had Sonic 4. There, you got cloud gaming. I think having a service instead of a video game console ultimately ruins the purpose of making a video game console. You play them for the exclusives, right? So unless you're fucking Steam somehow, the only way cloud gaming can work is if you get every fucking video game known to man. And there's kind of no point of doing this, which explains why cloud gaming was a failure. Yeah, ignore this Xbox crap. But I think the most iconic cloud gaming to ever cloud on cloud gaming cloud history is Stadia. Let's be real. Back in 2018 through 2020, you probably looked on your merry way if you didn't have ad blocker and saw these ads for Stadia. At first, I thought it was a console, but no, it's apparently cloud gaming thing. And with Stadia, you've probably seen this guy. Who the fuck is this guy? Is this Stadia's mascot? Okay, that makes sense. You know, Master Chief, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mario, and middle-aged man who probably smells of old cereal and car parts. This is Phil Harrison. Basically, Google thought that you can trust a billionaire. He tried to sell you into the Stadia, but it obviously did not go well, since Stadia was using Google's data center. When gamers got their hands on Stadia, they noticed many problems, such as the bad frame rate, worse graphics compared to other consoles, and terrible internet connection, which ultimately led to the downfall and shutdown of Stadia. If you want more info, just do Rerez's video that he did. He has like 3 of them and handles them much more better than I possibly could. I just want to point and laugh about all the ads that said Stadia was the way to go, even though it was a worse way to go, obviously, with its bad internet. Oh yeah, you guys. There's not much to talk about these other consoles. They pretty much had the same tail and ended the same way. I just like how funny all these controllers look. Okay, let's go to the next. So Kickstarter had some things right, you know, they got games that spawn a new era of fan bases, you know, with your Shovel Knights and your Undertales, and other times you get things like Mighty Number 9, where you paid for money for things that had explosions that looked like tomato soup with noodles on it. Ouya was unfortunately one of those things. The only exception was that you'd rather pay with tomato soup with noodles on it instead. You hear that? You could have bought food! So basically the Ouya is a micro console. Oh no, not another fucking thing I have to define! But basically, to sum it up short, a Ouya console is basically something you'd buy for a low cost with pre-built games in. That's just a fucking Stadia. That's just a Stadia! Apparently the founder of Ouya though was all like, oh, this new micro console, this is gonna be the new shit and all that. Yeah, apparently the new shit is something you put next to your Gogurt and apple slices apparently. Listen, I know the Ouya might seem like some obscure thing, but it's just mobile games. Like honestly, why someone would want to pay for this is beyond me. Literally all these games you could probably find on your phone or something, so I don't understand the whole point of this console. Honestly, and the thing about the Ouya is the fact that it has no exclusives either. Yeah, literally anything that's on the Ouya you could probably find on like either the PS4 or I don't know, an actual fucking phone, you know, something that's free. The only game that wasn't exclusive got on the other consoles and sold much more significantly better. So yeah, that's why the Ouya was a flaw. I mean, the controller kind of funny looking. You have to remove pieces of the controller to put the fucking batteries in. It looks so stupid. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. Oh yeah, by the way, people paid money for this Kickstarter thing. Yeah, that's kind of sad. Let that sink in. Hey, looks like I finally reached a console that YouTube had it. Oh, fucking Christ! Okay, look, the hyperscan is such an interesting thing. I gotta talk about this beast alone. Or I guess it's not a beast, it's more of just prey because it's so weak compared to the rest of the lineup in 2006. I really don't know what Mattel thought when thinking of this crap. It definitely wasn't a success, this console, but it interests me on how weird it was. You ever heard of Skylanders? Yeah, well that's basically how this whole console literally works. Basically these dollar store Skylanders pieces of crap. This console was the average price of a game, in fact. When it first released, there was no confidence whatsoever. When they released though, this clam-shaped bastard, you wanna know how many games released on this thing? Yeah, guess what? Accountable 5 games. The other consoles we mentioned at least had a nice library, but what the fuck is this? The games don't even seem that interesting, so there's no point of mentioning what they are. All you need to know is that they all come from existing properties, you know, Ben 10, X-Men, Spider-Man, and not a single Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles related thing for some reason. But hey, shitty console, so no point of complaining. And all that for a controller that looks quite right, actually. I mean, you'd assume a console that plays only retro games would have a D-pad, but no, it has an analog stick for some reason. I like how each button is called by the colors, honestly. I think there was another console in the console wars that would have done that. Now we are finally reaching the obscure section, the type of things that will get you wet. Here we have the Family Game Wave Entertainment System. The what? Stupid name. I'm just gonna call it the Game Wave. You get someone a Wii for their birthday, get them a Game Wave for their funeral, because that's what this console is. Interestingly, this thing came out from the land of Poutine. Yes! It doesn't seem like there are any actual games on the Game Wave Entertainment. What the? I hate this name. But yeah, it doesn't seem like there are actually any games on the Game Wave Entertainment System. They all seem to be just some type of mini games, you know, mini games you find on something like Roblox. So I think the 70,000 people who bought it for shit like, I don't know, VeggieTales.
Check out this VeggieTales movie clip. Ready?
Here you go, little baby. Catch the ball.
It's kind of funny how the controllers look though. They are literally just remotes though. Imagine if you lose your remote and you're like, oh shit, I can't find my remote, and then you find all these 4 other fucking remotes and you don't know what to do with that. Ladies and gentlemen, this might be the most obscure console ever. Well, thanks, Re-Res, not anymore. One thing you'll notice is that a lot of these video game consoles are hybrid consoles, usually able to both play DVDs and games at the same time. I mean, this doesn't even look like a damn console. Oh wow, it does. I'm sold. Ho ho ho! Hey son, I got you up. Yeah! This console was intended for a late 90s grab, but unfortunately managed into the era of the 2000s. By this time, PlayStation and Nintendo already had DVD players in their own consoles. Hell, even the Game Boy Advance could already play film, so there basically was no point of this thing. Apparently this behemoth was found in the presentations like E3 and CES. Believe it or not, this console also brags to be a 128-bit console, which could have been cool, but the trend kind of died ever since the Nintendo 64 came out. This console shares a lot of similarities to the 3DO, believe it or not, where they have multiple manufacturers making different versions of each console, but the games on the other hand have a connection to the Atari Jaguar. Yeah, weirdly enough, there are games like Tempest 2000 and Iron Soldier 3 got on here, and other Atari related games as well, like Next Tetris, as well as things that didn't even get exclusive sequels as well. So I guess there is a reason to buy this thing. Now we gotta talk about the controller, because What the hell is this thing? It looks like they tried to go for the Sega Genesis 6 button layout, but it doesn't really work because it has like these weird spiky things. It's probably one of the weirdest controller out of all of them. You will soon start to realize that Bandai had a good fair share of the consoles you are about to see that take place. And this one, we have the WonderSwan, a portable console meant to rival the Game Boy and I guess the Game Boy Color as well, but they immediately fucked up because this thing was in monocle. Oh, never mind. I didn't realize this, but Sega was actually supposed to merge with Bandai at one point. It didn't happen as Sega turned it down. Imagine if that would happen. Dark Souls would just be full of a ton of Sonic references then. I think the main reason why the WonderSwan failed was due to there being already too many portable consoles at the time. The Game Boy was still going strong, especially with the release of the Game Boy Color, which was already another color console as well, and with the Neo Geo Pocket Color as well hitting the scene as well. Oh yeah, I guess I should mention this thing. This thing came out at the same time the WonderSwan did. Honestly, it was compared much to similar terms as the WonderSwan as well, also having a colored variant as well. In terms of how well the games were, well, both the Neo Geo Pocket Color and WonderSwan had games that people wanted to play even in the 90s. It had games like Metal Slug, King of Fighters, Samurai Showdown, and much more. And the WonderSwan had Puyo Puyo, Digimon, Gundam, and even much more as well. But the main reason why I linked both of these consoles together is the fact that both of these consoles had one game they would probably be known for. The Neo Geo Pocket Color had Sonic Pocket Adventure, and the WonderSwan had Mega Man and Bass, which really came out the same time apart with each other. Alas, the Blue Blur and the Blue Bomber couldn't save the sales of these consoles, as they were both blasted away by the Game Boy. No shit. Now, I think I found a diamond because there is I repeat, no information about this thing whatsoever. I went to the Koi company myself, they thought I was drunk or something when I mentioned the Koi Pass ago. Okay, look, there is no history about this thing. All I can tell is that I have the quality of a Tiger handheld. Obviously, this thing was meant to rival the Game Gear, Game Boy, and Lynx. Lifespan, it only lasted a couple seconds, and what else can I say about this thing, honestly? It only has like 11 games, by the way. Like, I'd rather watch shit come out of a dog's anus. That's fucking gross. Pippin. It's coming. There you go, the best console yet. Bandai has already gotten their work cut out for them. Jesus Christ. Here we have the Apple and Bandai Pippin. Now that we've reached the older consoles, you now realize a lot of these consoles want to capture DVD-like players or computers and bring them in the consoles, which is why this son of a bitch costs $600. I do like how it's named after a type of apple, the Newton Pippin. That's actually a really smart idea. I like how they did that. Though this console kind of did predict how consoles would look like in the future. It's either what do you want, black or white. It's pretty impressive that they did want to capture a PC console to form with this. Obviously, when things like the Sega Saturn and PlayStation hit the scene, nobody tend to glare at this. That's weird, but look at this thing can run polygons as well, as seen with games like Gundam Tactics and Racing Days. The other games, however, they're just sort of shovelware. Honestly, it's just like bottom the barrel shovelware stuff. The lack of a mascot on actual games is clearly what killed this thing, mostly. However, though, I will admit, if you do want to play Power Rangers Zeo versus the Machine Empire, this is the way to do it. So we can all agree that gaming is an all-gender type of media, right? Ignore those types of people. Gaming is intended for all genders, but to be fair, it was 1995, and at that time, if somebody saw a girl playing Doom, they would tie you down and burn you down, but now if they saw that, they assume it's some form of flirting. The console's design is a nice purple as it separates itself from the other consoles. Honestly, it's a really nice design. The control, on the other hand, looks really damn uncomfortable. Instead of it going through A and C like a Genesis or 3DO, it also hits D for some reason. Why? As for the games, this console does claim to be 32-bit, and the bits are bidding, but dude, I can just play this on one of those weird websites with those Elsa shitty trash fetish videos, or play to make your own Sonic character ones. Wow, I'm playing a Cthulhu Loopy game! You remember how back then all the video game consoles were all so much more colorful? Well, this console drags you by giving your eyes a pleasing color to look at. The Palladium for some reason. In the startup it's called the QIS. I don't know why. There's only 2 buttons, which makes you wonder what the games that it runs. This isn't a damn game! This is just watching anime and asking questions. There is nothing known about this console. All we know is that it was intended for younger babies who cry everywhere and spit soup out. I wonder Dragon Ball is on here. The console runs on CD-ROMs and it looks like one of those things that would fit right in your bath when you were like 4. I don't know, this is terrible. Next. Oh yeah, it's totally mesmerizing. Oh my god, it feels so good. It's weird, you know, we talk about what's the first 8-bit, 16-bit, and 64 consoles were. I mean proper 64-bit consoles, but I never ever heard what was the first 32-bit console. You might assume it's the 3DO, right? Well, it's actually the FM Towns Marty, coming from the PC lineup of systems called the FM Towns. Yeah, that's such a stupid name. By the way, why would you name it that? But anyways, this is another computer-like console. How much it cost? $710. Well, what the fuck? The games are weird. Because you'd expect them to be PCFX games, you know, because they're all Hudson Soft games, so you have stuff like Bomberman, which is apparently here on this console. Well, this console isn't too bad. I like its design, and the controller is 2 buttons. Ew, come on. This was literally in an era where 16-bit consoles were known for having more than 2 buttons. I don't know why they bothered with this stuff. Fucking 2 buttons on a 32-bit console? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I was deciding if this was a bootleg console or not, but it does have its own games, so... Here is the Super 8 can, because if A can, then you can too. This console came from Taiwan and was supposed to be able to compete with the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis lineup, but by the time they got this console out, it was getting put into the next generation anyways. This console was gonna sell well anyways. As for this console, there's kinda not much to it. I guess it's a neat little line cross between the consoles of last year and this year. It has the same power as a Super Nintendo, and the controller is your standard 16-bit controller. There's really nothing funny about this controller, honestly, compared to the other things. The games, though, are another fucking beast entirely. This game is literally a rip-off Sonic and fucking steals music from the Final Countdown. And is that Echo the Dolphin sprites? What the hell is this game? Only check out this console because of how weird the games are. There's literally no other reason to. This is an era of video game consoles that brought us a ton of things that we would use it to fuller extent later in the next years. Mascot platformers, 3D polygonal games, and big ass lasers that cost more than your rights. You know, your rights to eat and shit. For some reason, so many companies thought that Laserdiscs were the way to go, even though having a video game console be a DVD player ultimately ruins the purpose of a video game console. But whatever though, I'll go over these 3 video game consoles that focus on Laserdisc. Here we have the Laser Active, the VIS, and the CD-TV. And yes, I am aware the CD-TV is where is. I'm not gonna get into that game since it's so popular. But anyway, let's start with the first, which was the Laser Active, which is weirdly linked with the Sega Genesis and CD, but it handles colors much differently. Plus, it has its own lineup of games, making it a sort of re-release console of some sort. The CD-TV, otherwise known as the crappy predecessor to this that will haunt your dreams late at night. Controllers, they're okay. The Laser Active uses both a TurboGrafx 16 and Sega Genesis controller, so no point in talking about that. And the VIS, I know no one has heard of this console, so I'm pretty sure this shit is fucking, oh, come on! And I want to talk about this thing because it has the weirdest ass video ever with this bird that feels like it would haunt your dreams at night, make you yell, get out of my head, while you try to drink it off repeatedly, but it won't go away for some reason. The VIS, however, has its own controller, and it's one of these weird 4 buttons controls that has a weird layout. Nothing much. And as for the CD-TV, oh my god, what the hell is this shit? You can just port some weird Amiga CD32 controller instead, so whatever. As for the game for all these consoles, they are either just some shitty coloring books on TV or some FMV things, because those are really hard to make. Interesting, one of the CD-TV games is from the 3DO, so yeah, I'm getting tired of this shit. Seriously though, help me! Another collection, because look at these openings. You see that? I just jizzed in 80s beauty. All three of these consoles have one thing in common, and that's that they're all video systems, apparently. Apparently, Halcyon, oh, whatever, this is a fucking stupid name. Halcyon houses Dark Dragon, which I guess is interesting, and other glorious titles Halcyon also has, as far as I'm aware, was also the first Laserdisc console. And there's also the Action Max and Video Game Challenger. They're basically the same console, as they came out basically around the same time, but basically both the Video Challenger and the Action Max are both shoot 'em up types of thing. Also, quick note, the Video Challenger is in Japanese and the Action Max is the English version. I have no proof of this, but you can basically see as all signs point to it. Much reason why these consoles flopped is because they're obviously just rip-offs of like things like Duck Hunt on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Honestly, all of these consoles are pretty bad themselves, honestly. Why would you want a console that just plays a video system? It doesn't make any sense to me. No, we're done, okay? Look, I know it continues on and on and on, but there's no point about explaining the rest of these obscure video game consoles because they're just mid-80s consoles that just blend in with each other. So it's great. You know what we're doing? We're gonna make our own obscure console. It has a controller that looks like this, and it's called a Noppy Flop. Money, here we come. We lost $30 million on the first day.